Hi, Aaron Chambers here. Welcome to episode 39 of Enjoy the Journey with Aaron Chambers. If you like my podcast, would you please share it? Would you subscribe? Would you give it a thumbs up? Would you give it 5 stars? Give it a good review? That would all be so helpful. I have interesting conversations with interesting people. And today I'm talking to a doctor named Delphine Deignan. She is from France. She was a world-class gymnast and athlete, ran on a scholarship as a sprinter. But she has a fascinating story. And she almost died during childbirth recently, and we talk about that. And I think this conversation is going to be a real blessing to you. She's just an incredible person, and I hope that our conversation will help you to enjoy your journey. All right, hey, Aaron Chambers here. Welcome to this episode of Enjoy the Journey with Aaron Chambers. And we're excited to be talking to Delphine Deignan today. Delphine and I have been friends for a few years, and I have a ton of respect for her. She has a really interesting story. And as you know, I like to talk to interesting people and hear their interesting stories. And Delphine, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, inviting me.
Of course. I love the backdrop, all the Dr. Seuss stuff.
Yep, we love Dr. Seuss.
Fantastic. That's cool.
That's our kids' room at the office, actually.
Okay, got you. Okay, so you're Delphine's a chiropractor, and I've been working with chiropractors for probably about 25 years, and have a lot of great friends who are chiropractors, and Delphine just happens to be one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
How long have you been a chiropractor?
So I graduated in 2008.
Okay.
I graduated in 2008, and then my husband graduated in 2010. So we worked together. We're both chiropractors.
Now, was this the dream? Like when you were growing up, the dream was to be a chiropractor and do what you're doing, or how'd you get into chiropractic?
So I always loved science, biology. I remember literally being little and on the potty with anatomy books and just memorizing all the bones. And then I was an athlete myself at high level. So I always seen osteopath, PTs for, random injuries that you get when you're training at high level. So I always been kind of in that field, and I always want to be either a nurse. And then I got into a PT school with a scholarship right when I was finishing up college. And then it happened that I was playing basketball in a wheelchair for my major, that my chair flipped backward and I landed on the middle bar and broke 2 vertebrae. So my track career was done, and I was really pissed off at the time because they didn't find out right away, and I keep running because I just keep pushing, and I was having pain going down my legs, and I keep telling them, and they're like, well, let's go and see what's going on again. Did another imaging 3 weeks later, find out that I had 2 broken vertebrae, had to have a brace, and my season was over, and I was a senior in college.
Oh, wow.
So that was done. So that's not how I wanted to be done. And I got really mad. And my brother at the time lived in the US, and I saw a chiropractor at the time back home with that injury. And I asked my brother, say, hey, do you know about chiropractic? And he lived in Georgia. And he was like, yes, of course. Everybody has a chiropractor here. I was like, okay, and where's the best school? And he was like, 20 minutes from my house. And I was like, perfect, I'm coming.
Really?
Yeah. And it happened that the person at Life, so I went to Life in Georgia, and the person that was in charge of the international student there was French.
Okay.
So everything was just lining up for me to go. And I said, I'm just going to go. And so I canceled my PT school that I was in, the scholarship, and that was in July. I told my parents, and December 27, I moved. So I worked the whole summer to pile up some cash so I could start my first 6 months in school, try to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then December 27, just packed up a luggage with winter stuff and moved.
Wait, let me back up for a second. So it was a part of your a program you were working on you were studying wheelchair basketball. Is that what you were doing?
So majors are very different in France. So if I were to translate here what that was, I was in science and biology and physiology back home. That was my main course, my main bachelor. And then special needs was my major. So I
Okay.
had to learn what it feels like to be in a wheelchair, to be able to coach or teach basketball to kids that have special needs and might be in a wheelchair, play tennis in a wheelchair. So that's what we were kind of like, all right, get a wheelchair and play around so you get a feel so you really can relate better. And my legs are working. And when I went for the basket, my chair just flipped underneath me.
Mhm.
And that was it.
Wow, that's interesting. So you're from
Yeah.
France.
Yes.
Where are you from in France? I've never been to France. I would love to go sometime. My mom's heritage on my mom's side is French. So I feel drawn there, but I've never been there. Where are you from in France?
I'm from Cannes in the south where the film festival is.
Okay. Where the
Yes.
you're from how do you say it?
Cannes.
Cannes. Because
Yes. Don't say
yeah,
the S.
don't say the S. I said it wrong. I've been saying it wrong. Oh,
Everybody does.
that's wild. You're from there.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
so
On the
cool.
beach. So it was very nice. Everybody asks what I'm doing in Chicago now. My
What in the
husband fooled
world
me.
are you doing? Are you being punished?
My husband fooled me.
Oh, wow. Okay, so talk about like I'm just so curious about what's it like to grow up different places, and what was it like to grow up in France?
Well, very different, culture now that I live here and I've been here for almost 20 years, 18 years exactly. Culture is very different, which sometimes it's very hard here because it's ingrained in me and there's things you say here or do here that's very different compared to home. Parenting is very different. So, I mean, it's hard to compare because I did not grow up here, but when I see kids here and teenagers here and college kids here, it's very different. I was so much into sports my entire life. I didn't go in the middle of the day, in the middle of the weekend, go party to frat house or friend's house, or it was school and it was sports. It was school and it was sports, which I feel like kept me out of trouble in
Hmm.
a way. But summers were really long, worked on the beach and saw celebrities. When you live in Canada, that's what you do. You work in those big, beautiful palace hotels on the beach, and then that's where all the Americans are coming.
Uh-huh.
And you have Prince from North Africa, and so it was just it was go to the beach in the morning, and then you can go skiing in the weekend because everything was really close to where I lived.
So you could go snow skiing and be at the beach.
Yeah, in one day.
Wow. Did you
Yeah.
surf at all?
So because of my sport, I was very limited on what I was allowed to do.
Okay.
Like one day I dared to go horseback riding and I came back and they told me next time I'll be fired. So
Okay, wait. Okay, so you got
I wasn't allowed to ski. So I slid a lot.
okay. So what did you do? Like what you got involved with sports obviously at an early age. And
Yeah,
what
I
kind
was
of sport are
5.
you doing where you could be fired from it?
Gymnastics. And it was a very much like my coaches had very much of a like Russian mentality. So I was 8 and I was practicing 20 hours a week. It was like we were like a really small club, but we were always on the podium. It was international level. So it was just really like they wanted to be small, but they wanted the best of the best. So no horseback riding, no eating French fries, no just stuff like this.
Okay,
My
wait, are
parents had a restaurant.
French
So
fries different over there than they are here?
well, potato is potato, I would say, but it wasn't nutritious enough.
It wasn't nutritious enough. So,
Yes.
okay,
So they were really micromanaging everything.
did did okay, so let me ask you a question. Did being a gymnast, did that pursue you or did you pursue that? Like, did your family say, you're going to be a gymnast, or did somebody recognize your talent and say, hey, you should be a gymnast? And like, how did you get into that at such a young age?
So I was 5 when I started, and
Whoa.
they didn't take anybody until the age of 6. But as the coach was talking with my dad, explaining to him that I was still a little young, I was just hanging off the bars and going all over the place. And he turned around, he was like, you know what, forget it. She's obviously fearless. So I started at 5, and then I got myself in big trouble at school because I was just very obsessed with this, only doing this all the time. Like, I would do cartwheels in the middle of math class. So my parents pulled me out of it to teach me a lesson, I guess. And so I tried judo, I tried volleyball, I tried other sports, and I just keep begging to go back to gymnastics. And that was the compromise, like, you got to do good in school if you want to stay. So we did the compromise. I went back, and then I did better in school. And then by 9, 10, I was at the nationals.
Well, you're on the national team?
Yeah, I was in the national teams. I won the national championship a couple times. I did the European Cup. So it taught me a really good work ethics from a young age.
Mm-hmm. What was your best event?
So trampoline was my main thing.
Okay.
And now trampoline, it's all part of gymnastics altogether. And it's at the Olympics that way as well. So that was my main event.
Okay. So like when I think trampoline, are we thinking like the kind of trampoline?
Backyard trampoline?
Yeah.
No. No. Watch videos. Competitive trampoline.
Oh, wow.
Where you go many feet up in the air, like 10 feet at least up in the air.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So how did you find your way to trampoline? It's just you try a bunch of different stuff and they saw that you were
they just had it there, and it was something new back then. And it was already like in many countries, they already had the world championships. They had just so many things that I really enjoyed. I did it on my bed. I broke my beds many times because I was just flipping on my bed, and it was nobody pushed me to do it. Nobody pushed me to do it. It was definitely an obsession until I got injured enough that I had to stop.
So you have a trampoline now?
Yeah.
Is there like, do you still do some of your tricks like on the trampoline?
No, because I had a really bad accident and I got really scared, and I landed on my head and blacked out, broke a couple bones, had to go to the hospital. And so after that, I did one more year, and I was very, very, very fearful, that to the point my dad actually just pinned me against the wall, and he told me, he's like, listen, either you get over it or you move on to a different sport. And so I moved on to track and field.
Okay. Okay. Is there any, like, if we Google you, can we see you doing the trampoline at all when you were younger? Is it out there anywhere?
Google existed when I
well, I know, but Google could find stuff that didn't exist yet.
I didn't even have a computer at home. Gosh, I feel old.
All right, I'm gonna Google you to see if there's any video of you doing the trampoline.
I don't think there's videos.
This conversation.
You couldn't post videos online back then.
I know. I'm gonna find it. I think it's out there somewhere.
VHS.
Yeah. Okay. So you said Cannes, right?
Cannes.
Yeah, because I think I've been saying Cannes Film Festival. So
yes, Cannes. Cannes is correct.
Cannes, but I'm saying, but it's Cannes, not Cannes.
It's right? Cannes. In French, we'll say Cannes.
Cannes. Okay. I'm telling you, I've been saying it wrong all these years, and
it's okay. You have
an accent. As a film person, trying to become a film person, one of my goals is to have a film there. So I just make sure I'm saying it right.
Nice.
Okay, so you so when did you switch to track and field? How old were you?
Freshman in college. High school, sorry.
High school? Were you a sprinter or did you do distance?
Sprinter, yeah. No, sprint. 100, 200, relay. And then at the end in college, I was getting bored just doing sprint all the time. So I started doing hurdles.
Okay.
100-meter hurdles, indoor, obviously, outdoor.
Yeah.
So shorter distance, longer distance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Why athletics? It just, what is it about athletics that you were drawn to?
Well, my dad was a soccer coach, and so he always pushed us to be very active. I have 2 older brothers. They were both cyclists, and my oldest brother was actually really good. He was national champion many times.
Wow.
He did the world championship. He went on the team to the Olympics. Now he still works and do the Tour de France, but he's the one that builds the bikes. So my dad always been huge in sports all the time. So I used to go with my dad at his soccer practice and run with his kids that he coached, and he'll just throw me in the middle and say, just run with them.
Mm.
So I always been good at running also.
Mm-hmm.
So sports was more important than my dad in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So being on the national team for gymnastics, did that kind of make you kind of a celebrity in your area?
People knew, yeah, definitely, because if I had to miss, you get privileges at school. If I had to meet, I was allowed to leave earlier. I was allowed to come late. I was allowed to make up exams. So they really accommodate, especially after when I was running and in college, because we had practice every day in the middle of the day. So I was allowed to leave earlier, come back later. And so, yeah, you do have some sort of recognition.
Mm-hmm.
People know you.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents, they had a restaurant, so they always display our trophies and medal. And I mean, they had a restaurant there for 30 years. So people have seen me when I was very tiny to the evolution as I've been growing up. And so, yeah, everybody was kind of like following me.
What kind of advice would you give yourself if you could go back in time and sit down in that restaurant with yourself as 10, 11, 12? What advice would you give yourself?
To have more fun.
Have more fun?
Yeah. Because it was definitely, I learned at a very young age to have like a really structured life, like 30 minutes for biology, 30 minutes for grammar, and then go to practice and come home and more and more for homework. So that still serves me. But the problem is now I take it really to like an extreme. And I did, when I moved here and listen and hear everybody else's, and I loved it. So I wasn't forced to do it because I loved it. I made great friendships. I traveled all over the place. So I really loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't play dates. It wasn't just, being a kid.
Yeah.
It was just different, which I'm not complaining about it. But I can see you being a little more lax about it also. So you can just be a kid when you're the age to be a kid and not at 40. It's
Mm-hmm.
better.
Mm-hmm. So you saw a side of athletics that, because you talked about getting fired, like you saw a side of athletics where it was kind of your job, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Couldn't go skiing, couldn't go horseback riding, because if something would happen to break a bone, the season is over.
Yeah.
And you don't know how you're going to recover. So everything might be over.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really, that's why I say it was really much that old Russian mentality where it's practice, go home, eat healthy, sleep, go back to practice, go home, healthy, practice for 3 or 3.5 hours. You don't ask when you're done.
Mm-hmm. You Delphine, you suggested just a few moments ago one of the benefits that one of the blessings that came from that.
Right.
What else good, what other good things came out of your experience you were a professional athlete? That's what you were. I mean, you weren't paid, right? But they took care of you.
Right.
As you traveled around. But like, what are some of the blessings that came from that experience, being so involved in athletics as a child and as in college?
I would say work ethics. I mean, every resumes that I put my background, I never had, luckily, like a problem to find a job, because like I always tell my girls, it's how you do one thing is how you do everything. And it just translate into school. It just translate when I was going in school and trying to get a scholarship when I was in chiropractic school, my grades, and then afterward work, just working hard, setting up goals and not giving up until you get there.
Are you as competitive now in your mind as you were back then? Are you still same?
Oh yeah, always.
You said that with such swagger. I love it. Like, oh yeah, like bring it. Yeah.
It is, which can be a good thing and can be a bad thing too, because I do burn myself to the ground too and take a
Hmm.
couple people with me. So
What do you do now to get that to feed that competitive appetite?
work is, well, not work, but like my goal is to be able to have my entire community under care and living a chiropractic lifestyle and reaching every single moms and families and babies. So that's the one thing. But then I like to do triathlons now. My husband got me hooked, and I do like triathlon, which I never thought I would love. Like, I'm not a swimmer, I'm definitely not a biker, but just like running after the time, and like transition needs to be fast. Like, how fast can you jump in those shoes and bike on the bike and then go run? And so those are the things that I like. I'm not good at it, but I've not done that many either. And it's sprint triathlon, so it's not like the full one, but
Yeah.
just like running after a time and switching one event to another. Like, I like that. Even if it
Yeah.
takes me 3 hours, it's just that adrenaline that you have to get out of the water fast and
Hmm.
transition fast. And so I do like that. And I missed
If
it
it's
because of
taking you 3 hours
COVID.
to do a sprint triathlon, then that is not good.
I know, right?
I,
Thankfully, it did not.
I'm joking. You're faster than that. The triathlon was my sport. I did that for a really long time.
Oh,
Um,
really?
it's a good sport. Yeah, I did a couple half Ironman races.
Oh,
I tried
wow.
one. I tried an Ironman race, and it did not end well. I
Yeah, no
bonked
way.
56 miles into the bike ride. I bonked, and I was done for the day. But um, I'm good. Mad respect for you. That's awesome. So you
Thank you.
which is the running the best part for you, or
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, definitely running. I'm better at swimming. Biking's definitely not.
Hmm.
But to give me credit, I don't have a great bike yet. So
Yeah. You have you
it's
been
like,
have you been riding a mountain bike?
well, yeah.
Yeah, that's how you start. Yeah, like
I
most at
have a
most.
really old road bike, but I didn't want to invest into a good one if I did not like it. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. Every triathlete I know pretty much starts with like riding a mountain bike, and then you realize, as all due respect, the 70-year-old athletes go by you, like
yeah,
you're standing still, and you're like,
right, right.
it's like,
Well, my thing is before I refused to change shoes because I wanted it fast at the transition. So I was biking with my running shoes because I was
no,
like, well, I'm gonna shave some time right there. But then
no,
there's that lady with her basket just like passing me on her bike, and I'm like down with my road bike, which is
yeah,
a better bike than a mountain bike, but she's still passing me with her little basket full of flowers. I'm
you're
like, what
exactly right.
the what the heck? And I'm exhausted. I'm having cramps because I'm pushing so hard.
Yep.
So shoes
Uh,
it is.
Yeah, yeah, yes. Transitions are important. It's such a great sport because there's so much goes on behind the scenes. Like, it's so much about, like, especially the longer races. Like, if you start doing like Olympic races, that kind of stuff, it's the nutrition becomes really
Yeah.
important. And you need speed. Yes, speed. Like, I would, one of my little things was I never wore socks. I would, if I were, wore a wetsuit, everything is, you have to think through every part of the race as
Yeah.
far as
How
transitions.
you lay everything out on your towel.
Yep.
So you don't have to think. You just jump right in, put it on, go.
Yep. And most of my races were in Florida, so we had a lot of sand. So I would always have like a water bucket to put my feet in real quick to get sand off. And it's like, I didn't know you did triathlons. That's so cool.
Well, like I said, I didn't do that many, but I really do like it. We signed up our kids for a aquathlon. So we try to get them into, like, they did a relay a few years ago, right before COVID. So one of my girl did the swimming part, and then the other one did the running part.
Uh-huh.
So, and now they're signed up for this one coming up this summer. So I just like that adrenaline, that rush, that excitement of one event to another and rushing in between and all the cheering that comes with it.
Okay. So speaking of your girls, how have you, like, are you, like, how have you integrated sports and competition with your daughters? in light of how you were raised and how what sports meant to you.
Right. So I have 4 girls, and one is very athletic, and one is very much more of like the artsy and the brain. And so sometimes my husband plays rugby. So sometimes, it's hard because I was like, how are you not athletic? Like none of us is artsy. Like, whose child are
Uh-huh.
you?
Yeah.
So it's challenging. And she's a swimmer. She's a great swimmer, which is what she's doing now. She's in the swim team. It's just finding that sports for her, like we've been trying like different thing. And like sports is something important because it does teach you life lessons, life skills, and it's healthier for you anyway. Can't be just behind an iPad, especially these days. So we want them out. It teaches you to lose. It teaches you to have discipline. It teaches you to work hard. There's so many life lessons with sport that now I can understand like where my dad was coming from. But in the same time, it's also taking a distance and respecting the fact that maybe she's not as athletic as I am. Maybe she's not as stubborn as I am. So it's a lot of like me and stepping back and calming down sometimes with her versus my other one. She's a soccer player and she's fast and she's in the travel team for soccer, and she's good at any sports. She's super competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So she's definitely got more of my genes there.
Gotcha. So,
Yeah.
so how you're a successful businesswoman, successful doctor, you and your husband both, but run a successful practice, but you are a successful doctor. How do you find balance with the responsibilities as a mom and as a doctor, and like, how do you find that balance?
So, and now I have a different journey these days too. So I'm always kind of refining it. And sometimes like right now, taking a step back to really like find that balance. But it's mainly planning. I'm always like Friday is my day of planning, meal planning, groceries once a week. I don't go to the store, I order because I don't want to to me, it's wasting my time spending 3 hours between going to the store and shopping and driving back home and unloading and all of this. So I order and just planning the week. And I get up at 5 and I love getting up early. It doesn't matter if I slept 4 hours, I'm still going to get up at 5, but that's my time that I can focus, that I can think, that I can have my me time to fill myself up.
Okay.
But then there's a lot of planning on the calendar as far as when are we doing family movie night, when are we doing a game night, when the kids have sports, when I'm working, and then just saying no to some things that just don't matter.
So is your husband, how's the plan? Is he as much of a planner as you, or does he lean on you to kind of be like, you're setting the game plan for the
he has learned to structure his days and week better, but yeah, I'm definitely to the minute planner. Yeah. So like this morning again, he was texting me, what do we have Friday? What do we have there? So I'm still trying to get him used to like the new technology so he doesn't have to ask me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you a question about your daughters. Knowing you as a friend, you're just such a cool person. You're very strong. What are you doing intentionally to raise strong daughters?
Not listening to their whining.
Okay. That's wisdom right there.
Yeah.
Why do you need to not listen to the whining? Talk a little bit more about that.
Because life is not fair, and I can't just keep them in a bubble. There's things I definitely want to protect them from, but there's other things that sometimes they just have to suck it up and do it. In your life, you're not going to do everything you like to do. You're going to have to do things you don't want to do. And the sooner they learn it, the better. So, but also it's kind of like also filtering, because I want to make sure they can talk to me and have them when they get out of the house, they can always come home. So we do a lot of family stuff together, family night and tradition. And they love this, like just simple things. They know for Halloween, I always make a pot of chili. And so things like this, I always make a special cake for Christmas. And it's only when we have Christmas at our home that I'm going to make this. If we have Christmas at families, house, I'm not going to make it. It's only when it's our home that I'm going to do this. So a lot of tradition, but yeah, it's not listening to their whining. And then I have 4 of them. So there's so much I can listen to. And I think that the more kids you have, the more filters you're putting because you just don't have time. And but then also it's teaching them, like right now they learn, like the day before they lay out their clothes, they make their beds when they wake up in the morning. It's just little things like this that I tell them, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And take your time. If you have a test that you have 2 hours to do it, just take the 2 hours. You're not going to be smarter and look better because you're out of there in an hour. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the day-to-day stuff, with sports. And like my oldest now, she started swimming and she's like, when is the season over? I'm like, I don't know. Like, you just started. Why are you asking? You haven't had a meet yet. Who cares?
Yeah. It's hard.
Like,
We've had
keep
a
your
hard
head
time with,
straight on the right thing.
yeah, we've had a hard time with our athletes keeping them motivated when not having meets and things like that because of COVID.
Right.
Um, yeah, that can be hard. So as you think about your daughters, Delphine, and you think about, okay, let me just look ahead. So I run into your daughters in 20 years. All right. What do you want them to say about you as a mom, as a woman?
That I was always there for them. And they can always come back to me no matter what. They knew I always loved them no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want them. But I want them to be strong too. So even if it might be tough love right now, later on, they'll be grateful.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I want.
Yeah. I love that phrase. How you do the one thing is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're fearless. How do you maintain, how can you, like, how do you maintain your courage um, in the face of challenges, really real challenges? And like, what are some things you do to stay courageous, fearless in the midst of things we're facing? And as you answer, I'm thinking about, the men and women who can really relate to you, who love their family and have a career, and and then also in light of COVID and shutdowns and all this stuff. So what are some things you do to maintain your courage in the face of challenges, in the face of things that are can make you feel fearful?
So I would say it's not at the moment when things happened. It's what you've been doing the past 6 months and the past
Okay,
year
wait.
and 2 years.
That's really smart. I hope the listeners are hearing that. Okay, so say that one more time. That's so brilliant.
It's not about what you do at the moment when things happened that matter. It's what you've been doing for 6 months and a year and 2 years. That's what makes the difference when, like we say, right, shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
This is the difference then. So I filter out things that just don't measure to my values and my goals, which is people, toxic people as much as possible. And then I love to read, but I don't read love story or romance. I love to read books that helps me grow. I love to listen to podcasts, part of a group with chiropractors that we're like-minded, that we think alike, we live alike. So those are the people that I'm surrounding myself with. Like I tell my girls a lot, you can know a lot of people, but doesn't mean they're all your friends. And I've read before and heard so many times that you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. So you want to make sure you choose your tribe properly, that you let those people into your circle properly. It's not that they jump in, is you let them in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. So one of your passions is that there was just a lot of really good stuff right there you just shared. And honestly, as you were talking, I kept thinking about you've just scored a perfect 10 and everybody's cheering and celebrating in the moment, but you are thinking about the years and years and years of practice and the years
Right.
of eating right and doing the little things right. And some people want to stand there and get that perfect 10, and they wonder why they don't. And what you're saying is you're careful what you read, you're careful what you eat, you're careful
Yeah.
with your time, you're careful with, and you said, what you said was so brilliant was it's what you do before the moment of fear, before the moment of facing a challenge.
Right.
It's what you've done the 6 months before then is gonna determine whether you're fearless in that moment or not.
Right. And for everything, even for your health, like especially right now with everything that's happening, everybody suddenly, is worried about a virus or changing or not just keep living the life they're doing and relying on something different. But what about we're improving some aspect of our life? What about what you've been doing the past 2 years? What about what we're looking at this?
Mm-hmm.
So with health, mental health, physical health, that's all those little choices that you're making every day, you never know when it's going to pay off. And you just got to keep doing the right thing.
Yeah. Speaking of doing the right thing, you're sitting in the children's area of your practice, and I know you have a heart for mothers and children. Um, talk to me about the benefits of chiropractic care for children and mothers, like because some people may be listening to this, and like I'll just be honest with you, I've been going to chiropractors for probably 25 years, but before that I thought you guys were a bunch of kooks and wackos, and but
I love it.
yeah, but
I'll take it.
what is the benefit of chiropractic care for like mothers and children?
Right. And that's the thing. I think there's a wrong idea of chiropractic is just for neck pain, back pain, and treating symptoms. And that's not what we do. It's just these days people want to feel better fast, and then they might seek a chiropractor, but that's not what it is. Chiropractic is there. Chiropractic, the intent of chiropractic is to allow your body to function at the optimal level and heal at the optimal level. And because your brain and your spinal cord, the nerves that come out of that organ controls every tissue cells in your body. And it doesn't matter, believe it or not, it is a fact. Because if I cut your cord in half right now, you're going to die, you're going to be paralyzed, or something's going to be shutting down. Just like believing in gravity, chiropractic is not a religion to believe in. If it does happen, it's going to be bad. You jump off a roof, you believe in gravity or not, you're still going to die, because that's just a law. And it's the exact same thing with chiropractic. So, and being an athlete, you think that athlete will be my passion, but really it's moms and it's babies, because babies, when they come, they don't tell you they're hurting, which is the perfect example of how chiropractic works. Like we have moms, they have 16 miscarriage, or they can't be pregnant, and now they get adjusted and they're staying pregnant and they're having more babies. And they'll tell you that the one thing I never done that was chiropractic. The babies, when they come, they don't tell you they're hurting, they don't tell you they're in pain, but their behavior, they're not eating properly, they're not sleeping, they're colicky, they're miserable, they're crying all the time, which is affecting the whole family. When they start getting adjusted, when we see them later on, like usually when they're fully blown colicky, they're 5 weeks, 6 weeks old, and then we see that suddenly mom said they had a perfect sleep, or they're text me, they're like, he's been sleeping for 4 hours, should I be concerned? It's like, no, that's the side effects of chiropractic. Like, I have not seen babies getting sicker from getting adjusted. I have not, which I know not every doctors and other medical field can say that, so it's taking them off their medication because their body adjusts better, balances better. Like kids are autistic, kids that have ADHD, they're able to deal with the environment better. Babies, when they're being in this womb, and now we're talking about being outside the 4th trimester, they're able to adapt to the environment better and eat better and sleep better. They just transition better. That's why we see them as soon as they're born. I adjusted my kids the minute my placenta was out, I adjusted them. It's like they need to get adjusted, because if you don't have a chiropractor in your birth team, they're going to check their reflexes. They're going to check how they're breathing. They're going to check their heart rate. But what controls that is their brain and their spinal cord. And if you don't have a chiropractor in your birth team, this is not being checked. And there's so many babies that have, especially babies that were via C-section, they don't go through the natural process. Like these days, it's so bad that we think a C-section is the better way and an easier way for a baby to come out, when we can pick and choose. There is a time for it, for emergency situation, and thank God we have that. But just putting on the calendar because it fits our vacation or our insurance deductible, I don't think this is the right thing for that child, and that affects them for the rest of their life. And it's so important to make sure that they get that neural stimulation so they can develop better, because the wait and see period that I see and hear a lot for kids when they don't like tummy time. Oh, well, let's just see. And then suddenly they have to have a helmet. And we just made those things. So like, and it's not a big deal. But it affects their writing, affects their speech, affects their development, their coordination, how they're gonna play sports. And then suddenly, oh, they have ear infections all the time. We'll just put tubes in there. And then they have eczema. We'll just put lotion on this. And they're sick kids. Kids, that's what our goal is, to get to all those moms and babies at a young age, because if they already learn at a young age the chiropractic lifestyle and get adjusted, they're going to become better adults. We're going to have a healthier community later on. Less adults are going to be sick physically and mentally, just better people. Our kids, they know now, they're twist the ankle there. Can you adjust me? Or play soccer. Hey, can you adjust my foot? They know, hey, I have a runny nose. Can you adjust me? They know that God did not make you imperfect. God didn't lack vaccine. God didn't lack chemicals in your body. You have everything. We're just screwing it up by not taking care of our temple. And that is the big thing, that we communicate with our patients and with our moms, and having them be able to have that beautiful birth that they want to have, because your body is made for this. So that's why the more we reach to those moms when they're pregnant, and we can have those babies adjusted the minute they're born, and then everybody is happier and healthier afterward. Sorry, I could talk for 2 more hours about that.
No, I don't be sorry. It was fascinating. And I know there's people who will hear this and pick things you said and not agree with it.
Yes.
And yeah, I just encourage people to think for themselves and do research. And your passion, Delphine, your passion, like that was so important for me, just once again, to see your passion. That's one of the things I just love about you, is you're very passionate. You and your husband are just making a difference in the world. So what do you do though? Like how do you, because some of what you said is, as a pastor, I can really relate to. Some of the things you said, like there's things I say as a pastor that are countercultural and not popular. And I kind of know what I do to be able to get out of bed and keep doing what I do, and not just feel overly depressed and discouraged and fearful. What are some things you do? Because some of what you just said is countercultural. And as I said, I have enough chiropractic friends to know some of the names that you guys get called. What do you do to stand up against that? What do you do to be able to maintain your fearlessness in the face of criticism and name calling and marginalization, that kind of thing?
Well, it's pretty easy. I have 40 the ones at my house that live this way, and they never had antibiotics in their life. They never had a Tylenol in their life. The only time I had to take them somewhere, it's because they broke an arm, and I could do nothing about this. But I know their body healed all the time, 100%. And then focusing on all the testimony that we have, in the office. We have a wall with patients. When we see that they are changing, that they're making improvement, we ask them, can you write a testimonial? Because you're going to help somebody else by sharing your story. There's another you like you that needs to hear this, and they just don't know that there is another option. And again, I'm not anti anything. I'm just pro health. And why are we going to be the last resort? Like, I'm so thankful that hospitals are here, an emergency situation here, because I benefited from it. Okay. I'm so glad, but that is for crisis care. That's not where health is. Mm-hmm. This is not where health is. So it's mainly, again, it's what do I feed my brain every single day, and who is in my circle?
Yeah. I think you said something really important, and you're not anti, it's not, how'd you say it? You're not anti, how'd you say it? I'm not anti
anything. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not an anti-medical field. I'm not an anti-hospital. Things are not what I do. I'm not against anybody else. That's why we work with different OBs. Yeah. That's why we work different pediatricians, because we work better together.
Mm-hmm. And that's important, I think, for people to hear, because people who maybe have never been to a chiropractor may have a caricature of what a chiropractor is all about and what they do and who they are. And you're the kind of doctor I'm around all the time, who's just, and the reason you're so passionate is because you've experienced it, you've seen it, and you're living it. And, right. And speaking of that, you referred to something And I want to ask you about it because being your friend, I know a little bit about your journey. And would you mind talking a little bit about when you talked about, you having to get um, uh, medical attention?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's an important part of your story as of like right now. I think it's a really important part of your story. Would you mind sharing that with us a little bit? What happened?
Yeah. So I have 4 daughters, and they're all born at home. And my fourth one, that's where things went a little different at her birth. The birth on itself was exactly how I journaled it, exactly how I planned it in my head, how I dreamed of it. But the after part, though, was something that I just never, ever, ever expected. And with the lifestyle that we have, I would just never thought it would happen to me. I hemorrhaged really bad, and thankfully I had a really good midwife that was on top, that knew exactly when to call 911. And so things will not just get worse, I guess. So we had a timely manner, first responders, and then I had to be transferred to hospital. And so I hemorrhaged really bad to the point that my blood pressure was down to 50 out of 30, which is pretty much considered dead. I lost 4 liters of blood within an hour, less than an hour, which you get 5 or 6 total in your blood. So I had to have 6 whole blood transfusion, which is everything, platelet, coagulation, just everything. And then I had to have 3 surgeries to stop the bleeding as well.
Mm.
So again, that is crisis care. And when I got transferred, then they told my kids that that was my worst nightmare becoming a reality, because my worst nightmare is leaving my kids without a mom. And that was something that crossed my mind when I was pregnant for some reason, that what about something goes wrong? It's like I have more little people now that I'm responsible for. It's like, it's like I go to roller coaster. It's the same way. I was like, oh my gosh, if something would have happened, I have 3 little ones that will be without a mom. So as I was going into the ambulance, like, I cannot believe this is happening. And this is where, like, again, my survival, athletic mode, mind over the matter, just kicked in, because one, I'm a doctor. So if you're asking me if I have ringing in my ears, if I have lightheaded, I know what that means. This is bad. So the other side is, well, that is not happening. That is not happening. You're staying focused and you're not giving up, and just stay focused on one thing, and you're not feeling it, just deny it. So it was those 2 things that, like, you got to stay focused. You got to get through this. You're not going to give up. You're not going to quit. But at the same time, and that's what I would say is burned into my bones forever. It's no matter what you do, life can just slip out of you without you knowing, without you feeling it. It doesn't matter how hard you're holding on to it. When it's time, it's just slipping. And that's the biggest fear. That was the biggest thing that I have been working through. So, and again, at that time, I'm glad I had medical attention, because otherwise I'll be dead.
So was there a time, so you thought you were going to die?
Yeah.
And
Well, I didn't know until I knew that was bad. And, but until the next day when my doctor came and talked, and that he was like, you really knocked it on the doors of heaven. And I was like, really? Because I knew I wasn't an out, but in my mind, I was just so focused to be here and stay here that was not even an option.
So do you think if you would have given up, you would have passed away?
Yeah, I think so, because that's what I say. I'm stubborn. I'm not going to change, because that saved my life.
Yeah. Yeah. What is something you've learned? What is something you learned from that experience that you don't think you can learn any other way?
So there's many things, because I never took the time to grieve. And it's almost 2 years now. And I'm just now processing it, because I've always been so busy just filling up my schedule, taking care of everybody, and being on everybody else's demand and needs and schedule, to just almost to feel alive, to be busy and not process it. And so, and again, like you said earlier, it's not what you do the moment that something bad happens that matters. It's what you've been doing forever before that. Because when I went there, they told my kids, yeah, she's gonna be in there in ICU for a week. And I was in for a day, and then the regular floor for a day, and then I got sent home. So I know the chiropractic lifestyle that I have, which is not just getting adjusted. So I'm talking about a lifestyle. It's what we eat, and it's the toxins we put in our body. It's the exercise we do. It's our mindsets. It's just all of this that matters, that creates health. It's not just getting adjusted and go eat McDonald's. It's not just reading a good book, but then never exercising and having toxic people into your life. So it's all those things that we work on consistently that one really helped my mindset, but also got me out of there. As soon as I wasn't in crisis care situation, I was stable. I don't need to stay there. I can go home. And which is what happened. So that's one of the things. And that's why I'm so more passionate about sharing this with moms and with our patients, because the chiropractic lifestyle works. And it's not something to believe in. It's just a fact. When you take care of your temple, it works. And this is what you need to do. And then the other thing is just being here. Like, it can be cliche when you say, I'll just be present and being here. Those are things we hear all the time. But until like you really, like I say, like burn to the bones and stamp with it forever, you really don't appreciate things. And there's little things that just don't matter to me anymore. Mm-hmm. And things that do matter, or things that are crazy and silly that I'm laughing about it versus before I probably would have been mad about.
Mm-hmm. So it changed you.
Yes, definitely.
But then knowing you, it also, let me say it this way, it changed you, but it also didn't change you. It also just kind of like took what was already in you and made it more resolved and more focused, right? Is that what
right. It kind of really recentered what was there and filtered out things that were preventing me to get there.
Yeah.
So it really did. It really did. And it's really embracing it also in the fact that, I have a limp, and I'm always going to have a limp because of that story, because that's something that I have to grieve, because my daughters were there, and I always talk to them about how home birth is amazing and how it's the best environment for a baby to come to this world. When you're a healthy person and the baby is healthy, not everybody can have a home birth, but when you're healthy and your baby is healthy, to me, it is the best environment to be in. And that just did not go as planned. And being a perfectionist, this is not something that sits well with me. So I just had to go through that grieving but now things that's really off my shoulders, I'm not fighting for a victory because I already won.
Yeah.
I'm already there. So now just gotta make the best of my life, because you never guarantee tomorrow. And it can be your kids, it can be you, and really just making the best of every day. And it's some days now, because I've been journaling a lot and detoxing on paper. And it's really coming from like catching myself sometimes, because everybody is human. You cannot be happy all the time, and it's okay to not be happy. And that's why those are the things that's why to me it's important to share that, because everybody, it's like the Facebook symptom, right? Everything has to look perfect. You have to be happy. Everything has to look good. You have to you put together all the time. But we're human, and you just can't. It's just human being, and it's okay. And it's okay. And it's okay to take time to not be okay, and then moving on.
This is why I wanted to talk to you, Delphine. You were just full of so much wisdom. Like, it's just like, I hope people are taking notes, and I just hope there's like especially I hope there's like a young teenage girl who stumbles upon this podcast who is inspired by you, because you have inspired me. Like, but just so much wisdom. And in life, it's been, just like everybody else had hard things in life and challenges you've overcome and success, but it's all a part of your story. And to see you so, to tell your story with such centeredness and clarity and peace it's refreshing, and it's inspiring, Delphine.
Thank you.
And I know you're humble, so I was like, but I was like, you are so wise. What's something that's bringing joy to your journey right now?
Well, there's a couple things, but one thing is definitely, like I've said before, I just love getting up very early when the house is quiet, grabbing a good book and drinking my coffee. And, so those are the things that in the morning just get me in, and then spending time with my kids and doing things with my kids and my husband, going on the dates. And now that finally, we live in Chicago, so and I love being home. I'm a homebody, so I love being home, but I love activities. Like before my husband, for our anniversary, we went zip lining, and so I like that adrenaline also.
Yep. Cool. Cool. All right. I'm going to, in the show notes, I'm going to put a link to y'all's practice. If people who live in the Chicago area, I don't know how close you would be to them, but what's the name of y'all's practice?
Deignan's Family Chiropractic.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put that in the show notes, and I'm going to find, Delphine, a video of
Oh,
you.
please don't.
And I'm going to find it, and I'm going to ask your permission to link it to this.
Please don't.
All right, Delphine, thank you so much. Your time is valuable, but you're just so full of wisdom, and
Thank you.
I'm grateful to call you a friend, and grateful for this conversation.
Thank you. It was fun.
All right, take care.